So you just decided you're gonna learn how to knit. Great. Now what? Where do you start? You start by choosing a project, right? So you go online and you find all these beautiful, big, chunky scarves. That seems like a good idea, right? Well, not so much. Here are the reasons why, as a professional knitter, I wouldn't consider that big scarf as a great first project. One, a scarf can get really long and boring to make. It's the same stitch over and over and over and over and over and over again. You might say, yeah, Claudia, that's what knitting is, right? Yes, but in some cases, there are little things that you can do to keep it interesting. Some different stitches, some different increases and decreases, some sections, some colors even can make a project really fun to work on. Number two, really chunky yarn and really big needles might seem like a good idea to start because it's gonna go fast, right? But they're really uncomfortable to knit with. So in the end, you're just using these big needles trying to knit something, you get really tired really quickly. Another thing is, usually when you see those scarves and you go buy some yarn for that particular type of scarf, the yarn that's going to be suggested to you is this super chunky single ply yarn. And I know you don't know much about yarn just yet, but if the yarn that you're trying to use does not have two twisted strands like this, at least it just has this one big strand loosely twisted, it's gonna pill like mad. So you're gonna knit this beautiful scarf and then you're gonna wear it once, twice, 3 times, and then it's gonna start looking like a mess. And there's really no way of washing it well so the pilling stops. It's just the nature of those big wools that don't have what we call plies. And I'm not saying to you don't knit it, because the last thing I'm gonna say is, are you gonna wear it? And is it gonna be exciting to knit for you? Because the perfect project is actually the one that you're gonna be really, really excited to knit. And if that scarf is really something that motivates you, then go ahead, knit it, because it means that you're gonna want to finish it. So you're gonna knit, the entire thing. What I would try and do though, if you're gonna knit that big scarf, is to go get a wool that is super chunky, but has plies. You can see here the little parallel strands. Those are called plies, and they're gonna make your scarf a little bit more durable. So that's one thing if you do want to. But in the end, what really matters when you choose a project is that you choose something that you're gonna want to wear, that you're gonna want to finish, that makes you happy. There is really no pattern or no technique that you shouldn't consider. Yes, there are techniques that are more difficult and there are techniques that require a little bit more knowledge. I wouldn't jump right into a stranded colorwork sweater with 4 different colors held in the same row. But there is no reason why knitting a sock, knitting a sweater even, knitting mittens, knitting in the round, flat, stockinette stitch, ribbing, all these things can be done while still being a beginner. We have so many tools now online. You can learn every single technique through videos, through online courses. I'm telling you, if you want to, you can make it. And so don't stop yourself from creating something that seems exciting because you are just a beginner. If you choose something that is on the smaller side, obviously it's gonna help you finish it faster and move on to another project that might teach you other things, which is great. But if you start with something bigger, like a sweater, maybe you go for a worsted weight yarn, which is a more medium-sized wool that will create a great garment but won't have the bulky feeling of the big chunky needles. If you knit whatever you choose, knitting can always be ripped. The beautiful thing about knitting is you're never gonna ruin your yarn. You will knit it, and if it's not right, you'll unknit it and you'll start again, and then you'll learn. So pick something that's fun It might be challenging. Maybe you'll run into hurdles and things that will make it more difficult, but in the end, you're gonna have something that feels great because you made it. And it's not gonna be perfect, but you know what? Even my things are not always perfect, and I've been knitting for many, 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 many years. So go ahead, find yourself a pattern that gets you excited. Maybe figure out the difficulty level, maybe not. Just jump into it, try it out. And if you're not there yet, you can always put that one to the side, choose an easier one, get started on that one, and come back to the one that was more difficult afterwards. I'm not telling you you should never knit that scarf. I'm just telling you this is not the only way to start knitting. So here you go. Grab yourself some needles, some yarn, go find yourself good tutorials, and start knitting. Enjoy!